In this module, we shall take a look into what malwares are. A very commonly used term in today's scenario. Malware can be seen as a program which affects a computer system or any programmable device for that matter in a way that could compromise its security or force it to perform operations it is not originally intended for. The term, when it was conceived, was used to denote malicious software, but the diversity of such programs now renders such taxonomy useless. Some basic types of malware commonly seen nowadays are Trojan horses, backdoors, rootkits, viruses, worms, spyware, adware, and the like. Here, we shall take a look into the concept of Trojan horses. They are a specific class of malware which are used for intrusions into secure systems and networks. It is secretly installed when an infected executable runs on a computer. The purpose of such programs is to allow unscrupulous entry to a system. They do not replicate on their own and do not cause any direct damage, but the losses encountered are immense. Due to increasing focus on hardening operating platforms, attackers tend to attack via browser controls rather than sending infected files into the system. This method is less intrusive, thereby decreasing the risk of being detected, and gives modern Trojans a degree of independence. Shown here is an example of how a Trojan horse tries to intrude in a system. The example illustrates how a Trojan file tries to masquerade as a genuine authority with a valid certificate in order to fool the user into installing or allowing access to its system. ActiveX controls on websites are a common case of Trojan infections. ActiveX allows automatic installation of software from websites. The user probably does not know what they are running, and due to lack of sandboxing and misleading descriptions, not much information is given to the user. Such controls use digital signatures with impersonated signing. Now it is important for us to understand the purpose of using a Trojan horse. The major aim of employing a Trojan is to allow remote access to a system. While this may not sound threatening, the functions that can be performed are indeed dangerous. Some of the operations performed are spying on the system users, disrupting normal operations, to relay a malicious connection so as to disguise the attacker's location, like spam or hacking, to launch a distributed denial of service attack, to access resources utilized by the systems, for example bandwidth or files. Given here are some common examples of Trojan horse programs which were in widespread use some time ago. Some of the names include MS Rootkit, iSpyNow, and Assassin Trojan. These programs have different features as per their operations and different circumvention methods for several security measures. Trojan horses are a generic concept in the current security scenario, with the line of distinction between different malware classes blurring rapidly. The diagram of this slide illustrates the mechanism behind Trojan attacks through an ICQ instant messaging server. The entities in question here are an attacker, a victim, and an ICQ server. The attacker sends a Trojan file via the ICQ server to the victim, which in turn relays the relevant information back to the attacker. The information here would be the victim's IP address and an open port. Armed with this information, the attacker gets remote access to the victim's machine by connecting to the port and establishing a session. Now the classification of Trojans is basically on the type of activity that is performed in the system. Some of the basic types of Trojans are backdoors, exploits, and rootkits. Let us go through these terms in brief now. Backdoor-based Trojans allows access to a system through methods that the user is unaware of. It allows us to access the files and data via daemon processes running in the system. Exploit-based Trojans deal with targeted program code which deals with vulnerabilities in the programs running in the device, triggering certain changes and gaining access via the exploit code. Rootkits are mainly used to hide unscrupulous activities from being detected by security measures employed in the system, or to maintain further access to the system by escalating the privileges gained by the malicious programs. Emphasizing on the aspect of security, detection of Trojans is an important area of interest among security professionals. Unfortunately, with obfuscating mechanisms on the rise, and changing methods of circumvention of security measures, detecting of Trojan-based malware is not an easy task. Nevertheless, there are some aspects that may narrow down the detection process, such as suspicious port detection, suspicious process scanning, process monitoring tools, examining the registry entries, Windows Startup registry entries, startup programs monitoring tools, suspicious files and folders detection, reliability check of files and folders, and network activity detection.